What's happening, guys? Welcome back to War Thunder. And I have a video that I really wanted to make because I get asked about this a lot, and hopefully this can help some people out. Not going to be for the veterans of War Thunder, obviously. But if you're here and you're watching the video, I appreciate that you're watching it, even if you're experienced. Maybe you guys could teach me a tip or two. If not, this is for the newbies that are struggling with the venerable Tiger H1 and the Tiger E. I get questions all the time on my live stream. Why do I die in the Tiger so much? And hopefully I can show you guys kind of a nice good gameplay, give you some do's and don'ts of the Tiger, because you know it has a lot of lore and history around it, and people think it's a tank that's going to be super invincible. You know, 102 millimeters of armor on the front of the hull, 100 millimeters on the front of the turret, 88 millimeter cannon, good mobility. You know, it's a strong tank. It's something to be aware of on the battlefield, but it's not impenetrable, and it's definitely not invincible in any way. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright guys, here we are on Stalingrad, and I think this is just a really good map to show off the Tiger's abilities and its kind of its strengths and weaknesses, right? So I get a lot of questions all the time while I'm live streaming. Twitch.tv/TheRealNapoleon. If you guys haven't checked me out, it's a good time. You're missing out. But I always get asked, how do I play the Tiger? I'm struggling with the Tiger, and you know what? Honestly, it's really easy to get caught up in the lore. The Tiger is unstoppable and an immovable force. And we're just going to go ahead and ignore the fact that I tried to drive up this hill and didn't make it. Okay. In top tier, I could cruise right over that hill, easy peasy, but my Tiger's not making it over there. But I think you have to remember that the Tiger is not an unstoppable force. It's strong. It's something to be reckoned with, of course. The proper gameplay can be very dangerous, but it has weaknesses. So we're just going to get into some gameplay here, and honestly, this is probably one of my favorite maps to play on. A lot of people hate Stalingrad, but I think it's got interesting gameplay that's available to it. You know, it's got some cover, especially moving along the factory area. The sea point's not really my favorite place to go, but I kind of have a typical route that I usually go, especially when I spawn on the same side that I spawned this time, which is usually cruise through these buildings and head towards A. Most of the fighting's usually A, and I'm kind of always looking for a fight anyways, so it ends up working out from my gameplay. So as we cruise on over there, you're gonna notice that I'm clearing corners, and that's something I don't see a lot of people doing. And we're gonna cruise up to our first victim right now, and we're just gonna clap him. One of the strengths of this tank is that it has a really good gun, especially for its BR 5.7. It's gonna penetrate most tanks that you come up to, so you don't really have to think about where you're aiming so much, but it is kind of smart to start to learn where the weak points on tanks are. So as I come up into this point, the most important thing to do is constantly keep an eye on the mini-map. So I'm watching, and you can see where my crosshairs are going. I'm watching, you know, towards my right, I'm watching in front of me, and I'm just going to cruise right into the point. And I've noticed that I have teammates behind me, especially the ones that are machine gunning me, but there's nobody in front of me, and the point was captured, so it's potentially dangerous. So I'm going to check all the, we'll call them hot spots of this area. You know, people like to camp up in this corner that I'm driving towards. And we're starting the decap. I'm just trying to stay in cover. You can see we have a teammate right in front of me driving towards me. But that's honestly where a lot of the enemies are going to come from as well. Now, if you park up, and you'll see I keep an eye on the corner behind me. If you park up right here, you have pretty decent cover from most avenues of approach. And especially being that we spawned on this side, the enemy's not really going to come from behind us too often. As soon as I'm capped, I'm out of here. I'm not hanging out. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't play to the Tiger's benefit, is that it's a really mobile tank, especially at 5.7. And I mean, it's not a race car. It's not an M22 for sure. But it's a pretty quick tank considering how much armor it has. The 5.7 Tiger says it's a heavy but plays like a medium, which is awesome. So we're going to cruise around this corner, and this is kind of where the enemy would normally push along the far outskirts of the map to come and flank us. And I'm doing something really, really dumb right now. I'm not checking my left too well. I'm going to check this corner, and I'm going to check this corner. I'm kind of abusing the third-person view to see what's around me. Now, up here, I tend to have a harder time picking out enemies because there's a lot of debris on the battlefield. But at this point, I'm going to zoom in and make sure it's clear. And once I'm fairly confident that it's clear, I want to push back up. And I notice that the 8 point's being captured, so immediately I know there's an enemy right there. We did leave a Panther behind us, but obviously he's either moved off the point or he's died. Honestly, I really wasn't even looking at the mini-map while I was clearing these corners. So we're going to come back up around. I'm going to show you exactly where the enemy, if I were coming from this side, where I would push in. So you can push in up over this hill, but it's a dangerous approach. It puts your gun up in the air, and most guns have a hard time depressing down to shoot the enemy, especially if you're playing Russians. Hint, hint, hint. You always want to be on the low ground, or at least level ground, with the Russians. And this is kind of the spot I was talking about when I said that there's a danger zone. So I check this corner, nobody's up in here, and then I push across, and I notice the guy right here on the right hand side, and I'm honestly gonna be a little bit toxic right here. He's not looking at me. It's a KV2. He's got a really, really slow traverse, so I machine gun him to get his attention and then kill him. Nothing like playing with your food before you kill it, right? Now, that big pile that we just passed is somewhere that a lot of people like to camp out, but I'm already capping the points, so I know it's safe. So I don't really have to check it, but I'm going to keep an eye behind me and to my right. At this point, our team's already got the B point. The C point's been contested for a while, and I hear somebody coming up, and it's another Tiger. I play with headphones on, and I do suggest that you guys play with headphones on. You don't have to, obviously. I'm not one to tell you what to do. But if you use sound cues, I know there's a lot going on the battlefield. If you use sound cues to your advantage, you'll hear tanks coming up to you before you see them coming up to you, which is really important for getting the drop on the enemies. So I've capped again. I'm going to do almost the exact same thing that I did before. So I just want to move off the point. You know the enemy's going to be coming for the point. Personally, I like to play objectives. It offers you a great opportunity to get Silver Lions and RP without doing very much of anything. Plus, it attracts the enemies right here. So as I push out, I'm kind of giving my armor a little bit of an angle, so if somebody's coming around this corner, they can't shoot me too bad. And I check behind me. I don't want to push out too far, and I notice the wall dropping. And what do? I think turn to get him. Nope. I give him my engine to shoot at, and then I one-shot him. My first thought was turn the tank and give him my front armor, but I thought better of it, and then I gave him my engine to shoot at. And the reason being is the engine's a humongous armor block, for lack of a better word. And I think that's something that not many people really think to sacrifice, especially that was an ASU 85. He could have given me Heat FS right on the side, right on the front. He would have noped my armor completely. Luckily, I broke down with my armor facing so that this M26 or T26, whatever this is, so he couldn't actually get a shot on me. And this is where he makes his mistake. His buddy sees me and he starts machine gunning me, and that I believe is a T29. I know it's an American heavy, the Tri 50 cals, but if this T25 had been smart, he would have come around behind me, and then I would have been pinched by these two heavies. Now the heavy starts leaving me alone. This guy took his shot, and I'm just gonna go right through his front plate. And that's after I got done repairing. So now I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna finish repairing my tank. check behind me, and I see the machine guns from the heavy again, and he just presents too easy of a shot to ignore. So right through the turret neck, he's gone. Had ammo in his turret, and overall I've got like 5 kills right now, and I'm having an easy game in the Tiger. The biggest thing you got to remember is the Tiger has 100 millimeters of armor. It's decent, but if an American 90 finds you, or if an 85 millimeter Russian gun finds you, it's going right through you. If you angle it or not, it's gonna get you. If you play the tank smart and you angle it smart, about a 40-degree angle, they're not gonna get through you. But the fact of the matter is, you really have to know your limitations. Don't put yourself up into bad positions, and honestly, just make sure you use your gun before your armor, and you're going to survive a lot longer. So at this point, we've got all 3 points capped. I believe the enemy's mostly dead at this point. I'm starting to hear tanks driving around me. If I take a look at my mini-map, I don't see anybody. And who's cruising up? None other than M36. And this brings me to a great point that I brought up before. Always check your corners. This guy didn't check his corner, so I start to angle, give him a little 45 degrees. He bounces, and I managed to knock his crew out. And that was a lucky bounce right there. And you can see I'm using my armor, I'm using my mobility to my advantage, and I'm using my gun to my advantage. The only ammo type that's worth a damn in this tank is the PZGR-39. All hail Panzergranate. The heat shell's garbage. I don't see why you would use it. The APCR shell is garbage. And honestly, all this advice kind of goes hand in hand with the Tiger H1 as well. The only real difference between the H1 and this tank is a little bit of extra armor from the track in the front and a machine gun on top. I just have a cool skin for this tank, so I like playing it. But yeah, guys, this is kind of how you play the Tiger, and it's a fun tank if you play it well. If you think it's indestructible and push up everywhere and think you're going to rely on your armor, nope. If you think you're going to drive straight at the enemy with the flat front plate and not get penetrated, nope. But if you play it to its advantages, you angle its armor, and you use its gun properly, and you retreat when you know you should retreat, you'll have a good time. But anyways, guys, it's been fun. It's been real. I hope you guys learned something from this. This is actually my first video for the new year, and I know I made a promise to make more YouTube videos, and I'm going to keep good on that promise. So hopefully we'll have a good schedule of uploads once a week. But if you haven't checked me out over at twitch.tv/TheRealNapoleon, I stream 5 days a week, usually 6 to 8 hours a day, and it's always a good time. We're always doing something different, having some sort of fun. We're doing giveaways all the time, so definitely make sure you give me a checkout. Give me a checkout? That's so weird. Check me out at my Twitch, and links will be in the description below. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.